My husband changed my promotion interview for his mother's tax appointment. Then her folder showed it was scheduled 2 days later. Carla called me to the back office at 11 on Monday morning. I had just finished moving a wedding party out of 2 rooms after the bride's aunt complained about being too close to the ice machine. The lobby was busy, the phones were ringing, and our new trainee had locked herself out of the reservation system for the second time. Carla stood beside the printer with a yellow message slip in her hand. "Your mother-in-law called again," she said. I stopped walking. "Again?" She called Saturday. William called Friday afternoon. Carla Bates had managed the hotel for 9 years. She did not enjoy family complications entering the workplace, but she was careful with her face when they did. "They said you needed Tuesday morning cleared," she continued. "I moved your interview to Friday, but Tom left me a voicemail this morning. He'll be back in Omaha by then. My promotion interview was supposed to be Tuesday at 10. The regional director was in Sioux Falls for 1 day, meeting 3 internal candidates for assistant general manager. I had spent 6 years supervising the front desk, training night auditors, handling overbookings, and taking calls from guests who believed a highway-facing room was a personal betrayal. The promotion came with a larger salary and steadier hours. Our house needed both. William and I lived in a small place near West 26th Street that I had inherited from my aunt. Inherited made it sound free. In practice, it meant a mortgage balance smaller than most people's and a growing list of repairs. Windows that leaked cold air, a back door lock that stuck, and a furnace old enough that every service technician recognized the model. "I never asked you to move the interview," I said. Carla looked at the message slip. William said there was a family transportation issue involving Alexandra and your granddaughter. Alexandra called the next day to confirm it. She said you were trying to do too much and might not remember to contact us yourself. For a few seconds, the only sound in the office was the printer feeding out a night audit report. "My mother-in-law told you I might forget my own interview." She phrased it more gently. "What exactly did William say?" Carla hesitated. "That you had agreed to take Alexandra to a tax appointment and cover Emma after school. He asked us to make the change before the regional schedule filled. Emma was our 7-year-old granddaughter. Our daughter, Marissa, worked 3 12-hour shifts a week at a rehabilitation hospital. When her regular sitter canceled, the family calendar could become a negotiation before anybody had even eaten breakfast. Except nobody had negotiated with me. "I'll be here Tuesday," I said. "At 10. I know you want to be. I'm not asking for the time off." Carla lowered the paper. "I'll call Tom and see what he can do. But he has another property visit at 11:30. If he agrees to keep the interview, there won't be much flexibility." "I understand." She studied me for a moment. "Nancy, I need changes to your availability to come from you. Not your husband. Not a relative. You won't get another call." I said it with more confidence than I felt. At the front desk, the trainee was waiting with a guest folio in her hand. I fixed the reservation, found a missing breakfast voucher, and answered 2 calls before I had a chance to text William. "Why did you call Carla about my interview?" He did not answer for 20 minutes. William managed a veterinary office on the east side of town. The clinic served pets from Sioux Falls and several families who drove in from smaller communities. During busy weeks, he left before 7 and came home after dark, saying he had spent the day moving between exam rooms, staff schedules, and vendor calls. When he finally replied, the message was short. "Mom panicked about Tuesday. I thought I was helping. We'll talk tonight," I called him. He picked up on the 4th ring. "I'm between appointments," he said. "You told my manager I had agreed to miss my interview. I asked her to move it." "You do not ask my employer to move anything." Emma's sitter canceled. Mom had already promised Marissa she would take her after school, and now Mom has the tax appointment. So why am I involved? Because I'm booked solid, Marissa is working, and you have more control over your schedule. I do not have more control over an interview with the regional director. I didn't know he was only in town 1 day. You never asked? William let out a breath. Mom was upset. She thought everybody would blame her if Marissa had to miss work. I said I would figure it out. By volunteering me. I thought Carla could move the interview. You called her before you called me. He was quiet long enough for somebody at the clinic to say his name in the background. I have to go, he said. This is getting bigger than it needs to be. My interview is the promotion step. I know. No, you knew after you called. Nancy, we will talk tonight. He ended the call. I stood in the linen closet with the phone in my hand. I remember there were exactly 11 folded bath mats on the shelf because I counted them twice while trying not to call him back. By 4, Carla had reached the regional director. He agreed to keep my interview Tuesday at 10, but it would be limited to 30 minutes. He had to leave the hotel by 10:45. I thanked her and returned to the desk. I wanted to believe the worst part was over. William had made a bad assumption. Alexandra had panicked. Carla had corrected the schedule. I told myself this was ordinary family disorganization landing in the wrong place. That explanation was familiar, and I accepted it because I needed to finish my shift. William did not come home until 8:30. I was at the kitchen table going through mail when he walked in. The tax organizer folder was sitting on the chair beside me. Alexandra had dropped it off Sunday, and William had placed it there without mentioning it. The folder was thick, blue, and held shut with an elastic band. Alexandra used the same one every year. She saved pharmacy receipts, charitable donation letters, property tax statements, and handwritten notes that made sense only to her. William took off his coat. Did Carla fix it? She put the interview back Tuesday. Good. Not good. It is half as long now. At least you still have it. I looked at him. You called my workplace and told them I had agreed to something I had never heard about. I made a judgment call about my promotion. About Mom and Emma. He opened the refrigerator. Marissa's sitter had a family emergency. Mom said she had the tax appointment. I can't leave the clinic during the quarterly inventory review. And I can leave an interview? I thought it could be moved. You keep saying that as though the fact you were wrong is the only this problem. William took out a container of leftover soup. I was trying to prevent Marissa from losing a shift. I would have helped find another option if someone had asked me. We did not have time for a committee meeting. It takes 30 seconds to call your wife. He set the soup on the counter harder than necessary. You always need every detail before you decide anything, because details like regional director is only here Tuesday matter. And while you check every detail, Mom calls me crying. Marissa is waiting for an answer, and Emma still needs someone. There it was. The old argument. William made quick decisions because I took too long. I took too long because William gave me half the information. We had been circling that difference for years. I am going to the interview, I said. Fine. And I am not covering Tuesday afternoon unless Marissa asks me directly and I agree. Fine. He said it too quickly. The next morning, before I left for work, I opened our shared digital calendar. Tuesday had 3 entries under my name. 10, Nancy interview. 12, just Emma's school pickup. The last 2 had been added by William on Friday afternoon. He had entered them before calling my hotel. I stared at the screen, then checked my work email to make sure the interview had not changed again. William came into the kitchen, buttoning his cuff. You put Mom and Emma on my calendar. It was a placeholder. It says my name. I needed everyone to see what still had to be covered. Then Wright needs coverage. He picked up his travel mug. Nancy, I changed the interview request. You got the time back. What else do you want me to do? Remove the other entries. Do it yourself if they bother you. He left through the back door. I deleted both. At work, I spent most of Tuesday's preparation time between guests. I reviewed occupancy reports while helping a family find a lost winter coat. I practiced answers in the employee break room, then stopped because every sentence sounded rehearsed. Carla asked whether everything at home was settled. Yes, I said. It was easier than explaining that I did not know. That evening, Alexandra called. Her voice was bright. I heard Carla was able to squeeze you back in. Squeeze me back into my own interview. I'm glad it worked out. Alexandra, what time is your tax appointment Tuesday? There was a pause. I don't have the paper in front of me. You dropped the folder at our house. Well, then you can look. I'm asking you. I believe it's after lunch. And Emma? I told Marissa we would make sure she was covered. Who is we? Another pause. William said not to worry. I leaned against the kitchen counter. I am not available Tuesday. I have the interview, and I'm scheduled at the hotel afterward. You work at a hotel, Nancy. Surely somebody can stand at the desk for an hour. I supervise the desk. I am not leaving without approval. Alexandra's tone changed. I watched children for half my life. Nobody asked whether it was convenient. This is not about whether you helped people years ago. It is always easy to forget what other people have done for you. She ended the call before I could answer. I went to the kitchen table and pulled the blue folder toward me. The elastic band snapped against the cardboard. The first section held tax forms. The second had medical receipts. Near the back was the appointment confirmation from Alexandra's tax preparer. Thursday at 1:30 p.m., 2 days after my interview. Tucked behind it was a small sheet torn from a desk calendar. Alexandra's handwriting slanted across the page. Tuesday, Emma, 2:45. Lunch with Carol and Bev at 12. William says Nancy can take over after school. Drop tax folder at house so she can review mileage totals. I read the note 3 times. Alexandra did not have a tax appointment Tuesday. She had lunch. The tax folder was at our house because she wanted me to review her mileage figures before Thursday. Another job nobody had asked me to do. I took a picture of the appointment confirmation and sent it to William. Her tax appointment is Thursday. He replied 5 minutes later. She may have mixed up the date. I sent the picture of the handwritten note. He did not answer. I should have called him and waited until I could speak without shouting. Instead, I opened the family group text that included William, Alexandra, Marissa, and me. Alexandra does not have a tax appointment. Tuesday. She has lunch and wrote that William said I would cover Emma. Please stop telling people. I agreed to this. Then I added, and stop using dizzy spells whenever you don't want to drive across town. The message sat there for less than a minute before I regretted the last sentence. Alexandra had mentioned feeling dizzy twice that winter. I had assumed it was one more reason she used to avoid errands, but I did not know that. Marissa called almost immediately. Mom, Grandma really did nearly fall in the Hy-Vee parking lot last month. I sat down. She never told me that. She didn't want everybody making a big deal out of it. She has an appointment with her doctor next week. That does not explain the hotel call. No, it doesn't. Marissa sounded tired. I asked Grandma about Emma because my backup sitter is out. She said yes. Then Dad texted me and said you were covering after the interview. He never asked me. I know that now. I rubbed my forehead. I should not have said she was making up the dizziness. No, you shouldn't have. But she called my manager and said, I could not remember my own schedule. Marissa went quiet. That part is not okay either. I sent Alexandra another message. I should not have suggested your dizziness was fake. I did not know about the fall. And I'm sorry for saying that. I am still not available Tuesday, and neither you nor William had permission to call my hotel. Alexandra did not answer. William came home after 9. He carried the blue folder into the kitchen and placed it on the table. You embarrassed Mom in front of Marissa. I corrected the part I got wrong. You accused her of lying about her health. I apologized. You always do this. You find one piece of paper and build a whole case. The appointment is Thursday. She still needed help Tuesday. She had lunch. She did not feel safe driving Emma. Then she should have told Marissa that. William looked away. She did not want Marissa to think she couldn't be counted on. So I was supposed to do the work while she kept the credit. That is not fair. What part is wrong? He picked up the folder. Mom helped us for years. That does not give her my Tuesday. He carried the folder toward the hallway. Tomorrow is already a mess. We'll deal with it in the morning. No, who is picking up Emma? I'll call Marissa tonight. He stopped. I said I'll handle it. That phrase is how we got here. He did not call while I was in the room. Tuesday morning, the furnace stopped. I woke at 5:30 because the bedroom felt colder than usual. The thermostat read 61, and the vents were pushing air that was barely warm. Outside, the wind was hard enough to rattle the loose storm window in the laundry room. A thin crust of old snow blew across the driveway. William was already dressed for work. The furnace is out, I said. He stood over the thermostat and pressed 2 buttons. If the fan is running. He held his hand over the vent. I'll call somebody from the clinic. We need someone who works on furnaces. One of our clients owns a heating company. I'll call the number on the service sticker. My interview clothes were hanging from the bedroom door. I had planned to leave at 8:15, arrive early, and spend 20 minutes reviewing notes in the office. At 6:10, the repair company said a technician could arrive between 7:30 and 9. The emergency call-out fee was $185 before parts. William checked his watch. I have to go. Who? That is not an answer. She said she would bring Emma here after Marissa drops her off. I thought I had misunderstood. Here? You'll be home for the furnace technician. I am leaving for the interview. Not until at least 9. The hotel is 20 minutes away in good weather. I need to be there before 10. Mom will stay until you leave. Then why bring Emma here? Because Marissa has to clock in at 7. The doorbell rang. Alexandra stood outside with Emma, a pink backpack, a lunchbox, and the blue tax folder. Emma was still wearing pajama pants under her winter coat. Alexandra stepped inside without taking off her gloves. Her school bag is packed, she said. Marissa says the after-school program opens at 2:30 because of the staff training day. You are supposed to stay with her, I said. I can stay until your repairman arrives. Then what? Alexandra looked at William. I have lunch. I almost laughed, but nothing about it was funny. William picked up his coat. I cannot miss inventory. We have a controlled medication count and 2 staff members out, and I have a promotion interview. It is at 10. That is in less than 4 hours. Emma stood between us holding the lunchbox. Against her chest, I lowered my voice. Emma, go put your things in the living room and turn on the television for a minute. She looked at Marissa's name on her backpack, then at me. Am I in trouble? No, honey. Not at all. When she left, I turned back to William. You told my hotel I was unavailable. You put Emma on my calendar. You told Marissa I would cover. Now you are leaving her here on the morning of my interview. I thought the furnace changed the situation. It changed the temperature. It did not change my answer. Alexandra removed one glove. Nancy, she is 7. She can sit quietly for a few hours. Then she can sit quietly with you. I do not feel comfortable driving her in this wind. You drove her here. It is different going across town to the school. And then back. William opened the back door. Mom, stay here. Nancy can leave when the technician finishes. No, I said. He looked at me. You are staying until coverage is arranged. I'm already late. So was I after your phone calls changed my interview. His mouth tightened. Alexandra sighed. This is exactly why William tried to organize it beforehand. I picked up my phone and called Marissa. She answered in a whisper from work. I'm sorry, she said before I spoke. Dad said it was covered. It isn't. Can Emma go to your neighbor until the after-school program opens? She's at a medical appointment. I can ask my supervisor, but leaving will count against me. I'm not asking you to leave yet. I'm telling you William and Alexandra made a promise using my time. William looked at the floor. Marissa said she would call back. The furnace technician arrived at 7:40. He found a failing blower motor and quoted $680, including the emergency fee. We could delay the repair, but the temperature was expected to stay below freezing through the night. I approved it. That money came from the account we used for window repairs. While the technician worked, Emma ate cereal at the kitchen table. Alexandra sat across from her, checking the time every few minutes. William called the clinic twice and explained that he would be late. At 8:30, Marissa called back. Her supervisor had found another employee willing to cover the first hour of her shift, but Marissa would still need 20 minutes to drive home. William closed his eyes. I'll take Emma, he said. Alexandra looked at him. You have the inventory, and Nancy has the interview. He said it as though he had only just learned that both obligations were real. The technician finished at 9:05. I changed shoes, grabbed my folder, and left while William was packing Emma's lunchbox back into her backpack. The roads were clear in town, but the wind pushed loose snow across the intersections. I reached the hotel at 9:47. Carla met me near the office. Tom moved your interview up to 9:30, she said. My stomach dropped. Why? He received another call this morning saying you might not make it. From who, Alexandra? I closed my eyes. Is he still here? For 15 minutes. The interview happened in a small meeting room beside the breakfast area. Tom was polite. He asked about staffing, guest recovery, and how I would handle 2 departments calling out at once. I answered, but I could tell he was watching the clock. Near the end, he folded his hands. Nancy, your work record here is strong. My concern is availability. We had your interview changed, restored, then questioned again this morning by a family member. I did not authorize any of those calls. I understand that now. I should have been contacted directly. Yes, the answer stung because he was right, but it was not the whole problem. I am available for the job, I said. He nodded. We'll complete the process and let Carla know. At 10:45, he left for his next property. I went back to the front desk and worked the rest of my shift. That afternoon, I asked Carla for the records. Not a summary, not what she remembered. I asked for the message slips, the email William had sent from his personal account, and the call notes from Alexandra. Carla printed them and gave them to me in a plain envelope. William's email was dated Friday at 3:18 p.m. Nancy has a family caregiving obligation Tuesday and will not be able to attend the interview as scheduled. She asked me to help coordinate because she is working and may not see the messages in time. I had never asked him to coordinate anything. Alexandra's Saturday call note read, confirm Nancy is handling transportation and childcare Tuesday. Family concerned she has been overextended and may forget to follow through with schedule change. Tuesday morning's note was shorter. Alexandra called. Said Nancy still has family obligations and may arrive late. William had changed my interview before anyone told me there was a childcare problem. Alexandra had confirmed the story and added that I might forget. The records did not tell me what either of them privately intended. They told me what they had done. I put the envelope in my bag and finished the shift. That evening, William and Alexandra were both in our kitchen when I got home. Alexandra had come for the tax folder. William was reheating soup. I placed the printed pages on the table. William looked at the first one and stopped moving. You told Carla I asked you to coordinate. I was trying to make sure she took the request seriously. I never made the request. Alexandra picked up the Saturday call note. They wrote that badly. Did you tell them I was overextended and might forget? I said you had a lot going on. Did you say I might forget? She folded the paper once. I may have said you were not always good about returning personal calls during a shift. That is not the same thing. You were working. I did not want them waiting for an answer. You wanted them to act without my answer. Alexandra's face hardened. Emma needed care. You had promised to care for her. I did not feel safe driving. Then tell Marissa that. Do not tell my employer I agreed to replace you. William sat down. I made the first call, he said. Mom followed what I told her. Why? Because I knew she would say the interview could not move. It could not. I thought the hotel would have other opportunities. You thought Marissa's shift and your inventory mattered more because my job looked movable. That is not what I said. It is what you did. Alexandra pushed the call note away. Nancy, family has adjusted around your hotel schedule for years. Who? She opened her mouth, then closed it. I pointed to the tax appointment confirmation inside the blue folder. You called my workplace over a tax appointment that was never on Tuesday. I also had Emma. You had lunch. My friends had arranged it weeks ago, and my interview had been arranged weeks ago. It is not the same. No, mine affected my pay. The words came out sharper than I intended. Alexandra looked offended. I took a breath. I was wrong to accuse you of inventing the dizziness. I apologize for that, and I mean it. You were still wrong to call my employer and describe me as unreliable. She did not apologize. Instead, she gathered the folder against her chest. I did what I thought was necessary. William looked tired. So did I. That was all the accountability either of them offered. The next morning, Carla asked me to close the office door. The regional team had selected the supervisor from the Rapid City property for the promotion. Tom's written feedback praised my hotel experience, but said he had concerns about external interference with schedule reliability and whether I could guarantee the wider availability required by my current job, I asked. Is safe, Carla said immediately. You are not being disciplined. Your performance here is not the issue. But I lost the promotion. Yes. She did not soften it. I argued that the calls were not authorized, she continued. Tom said he understood, but he had to choose based on the process he saw this week. I nodded. There was nothing useful to say. I returned to the front desk and helped a guest who had left his phone charger in Brookings. I called housekeeping about a room that smelled like cigarette smoke. At noon, I covered the desk while the trainee ate lunch. The job was still mine. The raise was not. That afternoon, Alexandra texted me. Tax appointment tomorrow at 1:30. William says clinic is too busy. Can you pick me up at 12:45? I was scheduled to supervise check-in for a healthcare conference arriving at 1. 42 rooms, 3 buses, and a billing contact who had already changed the rooming list twice. I replied, No, I'm working. Please arrange transportation with William or call a car service. She called immediately. You know I don't like riding with strangers. I'm not available. You lost the promotion. Surely your schedule has not changed. I closed my eyes. My current job still has a schedule. This is one appointment. The interview was one appointment too. She ended the call. William texted 5 minutes later. Could you please just take her? I can't leave the clinic. No. He did not answer. That evening, I removed William's access to my work calendar. I changed the password on the personal email account that had stayed signed in on our home computer. I emailed Carla in HR that no change to my availability was valid unless it came from my hotel account or from me in person. I did not announce those steps at dinner. William found out when he opened the calendar and saw only busy blocks. You locked me out. I removed work access. How are we supposed to plan anything? You ask me. He looked at me for several seconds. That is going to make everything harder. For you. The back door lock jammed again Thursday morning. The key went in but would not turn unless I pulled the door toward me and lifted the handle at the same time. I had been doing that for months. With the furnace repair already charged to the house account, I did not want another bill. But I was tired of leaving work access and house access on the same list of things we would fix later. A locksmith came that afternoon. He replaced the worn cylinder and asked how many copies I wanted. 2, I said. 1 for me. 1 for William, because he lived there. Alexandra arrived while the locksmith was packing his tools. William had arranged to drive her to the tax appointment after moving 2 clinic meetings. She stood on the porch, holding the blue folder. Did you make me another key? She asked. No, what if I need to get in? Call first. She looked at William. He picked up his coat and did not argue. The healthcare buses were due at the hotel in less than an hour. I put my key on my ring, handed William his, and left them on the porch to work out the ride they had assumed would be mine.